Now that we're finally rolling dice in this brand new edition, I think it's time we go down that rabbit hole once again and talk about some big predictions with 11th edition. Now, in this video, I want to focus on the lore, the narrative, events that potentially could arise in this brand new 11th edition narrative. Yes, we're going to be looking at Armageddon. We're going to be talking about events that we've been talking about for the past couple of years, that we've been wanting to see for the past couple of years. So if that interests you, sit down, relax, get your waffle, your foily hats on, because we are going to do some big predictions. So let's jump into the deep end and start with a spicy one. And some of you may call me a heretic for this one, but I predict in 11th edition, we may see the start of a new Imperial Civil War. Yes, I've said it. A new Imperial Civil War. We've already kind of seen the breadcrumbs leading towards this. If anyone has been following the end narrative of 10th edition, and it actually goes back way before this, which we'll get into just in a second, the Ordo Astartes has got a lot of concerns about Rebooty Guilliman. What Rebooty's been doing is making more and more Space Marine factions. He's been literally making his own Space Marine armies. Some of those armies have been sent back to Ultramar to fight off some of the foes around his old empire, and the Ordo Astartes is seeing this. It's seeing the build of power that Guilliman is getting, and it's not happy with what they're doing. And they've been sending messages now saying, you know, we're concerned with Guilliman's actions, we're concerned what he's doing here, we're concerned with the amount of power that he's gathering to himself. Something has to be done now, because it's going to get past a point of no return soon, where he's going to have ultimate power. He's going to be surrounded by armies, which is going to make him near invincible to their order. You can technically say that the Inquisition have already started their shadow war against Guilliman, because what Guilliman has done on his return is reorganize the Imperium and put people out there called historiators again. They were a big thing during the Great Crusade / Horus Heresy, and they've been out there gathering information. And if there's one thing that the Inquisition absolutely despises, is information and all the Imperium's actions over the past 10,000 years. So they have been in the shadows, literally assassinating, taking care of these historiators, so this information does not circle back to Guilliman. Again, that's just one way the Inquisition is trying to put a claw in the side of Guilliman. On top of that, what you have to realize is that the Inquisition is the ultimate authority in the galaxy. Well, they were the ultimate authority in the galaxy before Guilliman's return. It was their way or the highway. The only real person that could stand up to an Inquisitor was an Adeptus Custodes. And the Adeptus Custodes are basically working with Guilliman now. Yes, some of them don't trust Guilliman, but they are now working with Guilliman to actively repel the invasion of Chaos and take care of the Xenos hordes that are fighting against the Imperium. So, the Inquisition sees this power play going on, and they don't like it, because people are bending down now to the Primarchs, and it's just not Guilliman. This has actually happened with the Lion's return. We've seen it in stories where the Lion goes to a planet and the governors literally have no power. The population turn from the government and look at the Primarchs and go, why should I follow these Imperial governors when there is literally a son of the Emperor here to follow? That is a power play. I know the Primarchs probably don't intend to do that, but this is what the civilians will do. They will put their power where they think it belongs. And for organizations like the Inquisition, they won't like that. So in theory, I personally think we could probably maybe see that storyline push forward a bit, with the Ordo Astartes actually leading it and actively trying to take maybe Guilliman down, or maybe forces surrounding Guilliman down, so that he doesn't have that much power. I think it's going to be very, very interesting now going forward with Guilliman, the Inquisition, and also the other Imperial organizations as well, because some of them see Guilliman as a god, and Guilliman's like, I am not a god, right? Don't do this to me. But they're like, no, you are a god, kind of thing. So there's definitely going to be a lot of friction going forward in the 40k narrative with the Primarchs. And of course, if they start bringing even more loyalist Primarchs back, that's going to cause even more friction. And just a quick question for those people who are still interested in this potential storyline. If it came to it, who would you side with? Would you side with the Inquisition, the Ordo Astartes, or would you side with Guilliman, the Space Marines, and his idea of the Imperium? Who do you stand with? Primarchs or the Ordos? Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, on the subject of Primarchs, another big prediction I'm going to make for 11th edition is that finally, Guilliman and the Lion will meet. This has been the big storyline which we've all been talking about since the Lion returned at the end of 9th edition, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he did return at the end of 9th edition. And we've been waffling about this all through the entirety of 10th edition. Are we going to get more stories? Are we going to get new models? Are we going to just get anything that involves the Lion and Guilliman meeting up on some distant battlefield and seeing each other for the first time in near 10,000 years? Sadly, that never happened in 10th edition, but at the end of the previous edition, the Lion finally sent a message to Guilliman saying, brother, we need to talk. And of course, this has lit the furnace. This has lit the beacons once again for the hype to get us talking all about it. So yes, I personally do think we are going to get that storyline in 11th edition. What it's going to revolve around, I think that is the bigger question. Is the Lion just randomly going to turn up on Guilliman's ship? Is he going to come to his aid on some battlefield? Like the current lore that we have at the moment, of course, in 11th edition, it's all around the Orks. Guilliman's not involved in that at all on Armageddon, as of yet anyway. Maybe he'll be called there if the Orks start to win, but the results are in the Imperium's favour if we go off official voting stats from Games Workshop. So I'm wondering if the Lion and Guilliman are going to meet up around a different battlefield. Now, we know Guilliman, if I'm not mistaken, is heading towards the Prior Nexus, where the Silent King is, Vashtor is, you've got Belisarius Call there and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if the Lion and Guilliman is going to revolve around meeting with the Necron threat around that big previous edition narrative that we had a couple of years ago. Maybe the Guilliman finds himself in an awkward situation where he's been overwhelmed by the Necron forces, the Silent King and his forces, and boom, out of the shadows, there's dust, there's flame, there's smoke, and it's like the Lion appears. I'm here, brother, to save you, to aid you. And they go both back to back and just start slaying the enemies of the Imperium. Absolutely zero idea how they're going to do this, but I'm saying this right now. During this edition, they are going to meet. If they don't meet, then burn everything down, brothers, right? Burn it all down. What I will say, if they are going to meet, I really hope it's not just like a couple of blurbs in like a campaign narrative book. Yeah, you can do it in a campaign narrative book, but I also want an epic novel around this. Give me Dan Abnett. Give me Chris Wright, right? Give me a big swinging author to write this epic scene of these two Primarchs meeting again, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be one of those emotional things if they've done it right. Two loyalist Primarchs have never met after, of course, I'm going to say, the fall of the Imperium. All these thousands of years later, it will be an emotional thing. And once we do get that, once we do get those Primarchs reunited, that opens up the doors then for even more loyalists to come back. Because you can't keep bringing loyalists back if they're not meeting each other. It just doesn't make sense. So let's get these guys in a room, let them hug, and then bring on the fun train, the Vulcan, the Khans, the Rogal Dawns, the Coraxes, right? They can all come back then, bit by bit, and we can all have our little piece of the pie. Now, sweeping from the Imperium side, let's talk about some Xenos. Let's talk about some Chaos shenanigans, which I predict. And the first big one, we've already seen the start of course, with the end of 10th edition narrative. And that is Perturabo's return. I am convinced that in around the Cadian Gate, where the Iron Warriors have taken a foothold now, this is literally going to be the breach where Perturabo returns, and he's going to start winning. Yes, at this moment in time, Lysander's up there, the Black Tempers are up there, Forge Worlds are up there trying to like beat off the actual enemies of the Imperium with the Iron Warriors and all the Chaos things involved. But I'm telling you right now, Perturabo is going to come and he's going to start taking ground. And I'm thinking maybe this is where the eyes then of maybe some loyalist Primarchs start to turn. Again, we've just talked about the Lion and Guilliman meeting. Maybe it's revolved around the Necrons. Maybe this is the Nexus event which launches those two Primarchs to me to take on the Iron Warriors and Perturabo, because he's literally going to have a demon army of countless numbers behind him, demon engines, his Iron Warrior sons, all pouring out into the galaxy, burning, taking, fortifying, sieging anything they come across to make their army bigger, better, and even more devastating. So yes, I do think we're going to get something big with Perturabo, and as I stated, along with that, I do think we are going to get the Perturabo Primarch model also hitting around that, and maybe some love with, of course, the Iron Warriors. Don't forget, next year, 2027, is the 40th anniversary for Warhammer 40,000. So something big is going to happen. There's some spicy things that I've been hearing already. I don't really want to turn this into a rumor video about the Crimson Fist, Pedro Cantor and stuff. But also, I do think something even bigger will happen in terms of the narrative to really just make a statement, because you're never going to get that 40th anniversary again. And what's bigger than Primarchs all punching each other in the face? I don't think there's anything bigger than that. So yes, I predict that Perturabo will return physically, emotionally, narratively wise in 11th edition and make a massive impact against the Imperium. Now, from Chaos, let's jump to the Xenos stuff, and let's talk about the big event that is actually kicked off 11th edition, and that is the Battle of Armageddon. And of course, the leader of that is none other than Ghazghkull, and I actually do think Ghazghkull is going to make a bigger impact than just going to Armageddon and fighting the Imperium again. Right now, Ghazghkull probably has one of, if not the biggest force in the galaxy. You could probably argue that the Tyranids, of course, are bigger because the Tyranids are endless, and we haven't really seen, like, the main faction of the Tyranids. We've seen, like, the fingers breaching through and stuff like that. But right now, Gaz does have all his boys, and they are ready to war their way across the galaxy. Now, I think Gaz is going to take Armageddon. I hope, well, my prediction is, I hope he takes Armageddon. I've been saying this from the start. Yes, Armageddon is such a vital world to the Imperium, but what the writers need to do, what the narrative needs to do, is actually give the Imperium a big, big loss. The Orks should take Armageddon. That would be a massive blow in the industrial side of the Imperium around that sector, but also physically and emotionally as well. Like, it's a big thing, a big planet being lost. I know we've had Cadian and stuff at the start of 8th edition, which ripped the galaxy in half, but another big planet being lost to the Xenos threat, the Orc threat, not Chaos, the actual Xenos, overwhelming the Imperial forces and taking that planet. I think that would be an absolute massive win in terms of stories, and also it make fantastic things for then the Orc players, because they've got a base of operation. They can restart making their empire once again, because I always state that Armageddon is Ullanor, right? It is literally the terror of the Orcs. So for them to get that base of operations back and potentially start launching raids and into more Imperial sectors, more Eldar sectors, maybe Tau sectors and stuff like that, right? I know it's kind of far away from the Tau area, but you know, Orcs are Orcs at the end of the day. If they believe it's going to happen, they will make it bloody happen. So yes, I want Ghazghkull to conquer stuff. I predict that he is going to be a big, big part of 11th edition going forward, and he is going to cause the Imperium so many bloody problems. And I want to end the video, because I'm sure I'm boring most of you right now. I want to end the video with a big thing I personally want to happen, and that is the return of the Silver Knight. Who the hell is the Silver Knight, Valrak? Who is this mysterious person? It's none other than Khaldor Drago. I know the Grey Knights have had a lot of shite slung at them lately, you know, with current narrative stuff, or current stories, the Terminus Decree, etc., etc. But I really do love the Grey Knights and what they stand for. And I really hope that Games Workshop sees that they can be such a huge player in this fight against the forces of chaos. One of the great things about the Great Rift, not for the Imperium, but for the Grey Knights, was that it literally kickstarted a lot of psychic stuff in the general population of the Imperium. So the Grey Knights really should be flooded with psychers. They should have been boosted, more than boosted than anyone else. Yes, you can argue, well, they're fighting against constant psyker stuff, so, you know, it's wearing them down. But yes, on the other side of that coin, they're literally just getting refreshed and refreshed and refreshed. So they should have forces that number like the Black Templars, the Space Wolves, in terms of like Astartes size, is just launching brotherhoods out into the galaxy, fighting everything. But one of the things that what happened in 10th edition is that Khaldor Drago was just wasn't really involved. Like, he even lost his model in the Grey Knight Codex, which was absolutely mind-boggling for me. So I'm hoping, my big prediction in 11th edition, that when they get their Codex, Khaldor Drago is going to come back at the head of that Grey Knight army. It makes sense. The Rift is literally bleeding into real space right now, so he can return. He should return. He should be that silver beacon of glorious light, which leads the Imperium into better places, right? This is what we should be getting. This is the character we deserve to be getting back. I know some people are going to dislike this. Daka, the Death Guard, plays because he wrote a certain name on Mortarian's heart, but for me, that makes him even more of a bloody badass. So, Grey Knights, I want a big narrative for them. I see a big prediction of a narrative with them, and I see Khaldor Drago leading that narrative going into 11th edition. And you know what? I lied. I'm not ending the edition. Scammed again, because there's one more narrative. There's one more narrative that I forgot to talk about. And this, oh, my holy emperor, this has been years and years in the making. And it all revolves around a certain novel that we've been waffling about now for all those years. Pandemonium. Where in the Emperor's name is it? Surely 11th edition is going to be the edition where we see what the end narrative stories of this and the consequences which we were told are going to affect modern 40k lore. What is it, Dan? What is it, Black Library, right? Actually, I don't think it's Dan's fault. If I'm not mistaken, Dan says it's out of his hands now. It's all down to Games Workshop, which means it's bigger than big. It is so big that Games Workshop are waiting for the right time to reveal whatever this is going to bloody be. What it could be. I have absolutely no idea. There's, of course, speculation out there. The King in Yellow, Valdor, Dawn, etc. Maybe it's going to be something even bigger than that. Absolutely no idea. But I'm just going to say, Pandemonium, big prediction. That narrative is going to drop in 11th. I've said it every edition since Dan's been writing it. And I'm not going to not say it this edition, right? Maybe I shouldn't say it this edition. And then it will finally drop this edition. Uno reverse rack is in play, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that is enough waffling from me. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. I would love to get your big lore predictions for 11th edition. What do you think that's going to happen? Do you think anything's going to happen? Is it just going to be another boring narrative edition again? Is it going to be a spiky edition? Post it down below, and we'll have a nice little chin wag down there, as we always do. See ya. Have a great day, evening, night, where you're around the world, and bye-bye.